Literally just got out of court. I'm here at the Pittsburgh Court of Common Pleas. And this was the latest hearing in Goodman versus the Allegheny County Medical Examiner's office. I'm back to wired headphones, old school. I hope it sounds okay. Should be fine. Remember the last time I was in Pittsburgh, we had a lot of static on the radio mics because it turns out all the steel in this town, at least I think this is it, the whole place is like a giant antenna. But this is court here. Was just in there. I forget who this guy is. Richard Caligari, mayor of Pittsburgh. There he is, kind of a clay monument to him. But I don't know, this might have been my best day in court ever. Look at that, we got the Pittsburgher. Seems like something you might order for lunch. It's close to lunchtime now, but I gotta hit the road just to fill everybody in on exactly what was happening there. So Judge Reagan is presiding in this case. He's maybe the most professional, I don't want to go towards that noise, maybe the most professional and polite judge I've ever been in front of. And by the way, for people who are new and watching, I'm not an attorney. And nothing I'm saying here is legal advice. Nobody should take legal advice from me. I'm not qualified to give any legal advice. But I have been in front of a lot of judges now. And Judge Reagan is very fair, polite, kind demeanor. Not a tyrant like so many of the other judges I've been in front of. But anyway, what was happening today is, last time he granted me, I asked if I could subpoena 3 people in the case. Chief Detective Patrick Young of the Beaver County ESU, that's the Emergency Services Unit, the guys who are up on the roof with the dead guy. Detective Gianvito of the Beaver County Emergency Services Unit. He was the guy who was actually on the roof taking the pictures of the dead guy, who I allege is Maxwell Urich. There's a lot of evidence that it's Maxwell Urich. Definitely a lot of evidence that it is not Thomas Crooks. And so he last time granted me the opportunity to issue these subpoenas. I had to get these, court special papers with a stamp on it and everything. And you had to pay for those, and that's like the official document that you gotta serve to the people. And the county attorney, she wasn't there today. They had a solicitor guy today, but I don't know why. She was on vacation or something, but she said she's gonna quash the subpoenas if I issue them. And I have to admit, just even when she said that, I was a little bit like, should I even do it if she's gonna quash them? Here, look, Steel City shredding. They're getting shredded over there, but it's just steel everywhere. So hopefully, definitely I can hear it. The sound is gonna be much better this time than it was last. I can't stand all that static. But so he issued me the subpoenas. He granted me the subpoenas, and I figured out how to, fill them out and serve them and everything. Sent them to the cops. Oh yeah, also William F. Young III, the Butler County coroner, he did not attempt to quash, but he also, I just learned, he's not the coroner anymore. As of January, he is retired. Somebody else, I guess you vote for the coroner. Who's going to that election? You vote for the coroner in Butler County, and I guess he got voted out. Whoops, it's probably like 4 guys voting. But issued the subpoenas to the cops. People will remember I've spoken on the phone to Detective Gianvito. He's refused to give this HEIC photo. The crux of it, for people who are just joining, is that I am alleging that the photo of the dead guy on the roof that was included in a report given to Chuck Grassley, Senator Chuck Grassley of Iowa, I'm alleging that that photo was altered. It's a fact that it was altered. It's not even an allegation. The question is, to what extent has it been altered? It's a fact in that we see Detective Gianvito on his body-worn camera cycling through a series of photos on his phone. I believe you can see some photos of the dead guy when he's cycling through. Not clear enough to really make out what's going on, but the point is you can see that he's holding an iPhone, at least an 11. You can tell by the shape of it. And so that means that the photographs would be taken at 4032 by 3024 resolution. And the photo that's been presented to Chuck Grassley was a 640 by 480 heavily decimated, downsampled image, 640, 480 resolution in a PowerPoint. So, you know, we know it's been altered. The question is, what else, if anything, has been altered about it? I think the ear of the subject has been replaced with somebody else's ear, specifically Thomas Crooks's ear. It's also, this suspicion is bolstered by the testimony of Senator Ron Johnson, who conducted his own independent investigation, and he determined that an unknown individual instructed local law enforcement to send this photo of the dead subject, whatever you want to call him, the decedent, the guy with his teeth shot out, Max Urich. They were instructed to text that photo to a dude at the what was it? Philadelphia. Ooh, look at this. And now we're walking through here, kill my broadcast. This is a pretty dark tunnel. But they were instructed to send it to an agent at the Philadelphia ATF, the Alcohol, Tobacco, and Firearms Bureau. And so, you know, that adds significant extra to a guy. And also, remember, I did a right to know request. This is an interesting courtyard, isn't it? I did a right to know request first with the Beaver County District Attorney's Office. They control the Emergency Services Unit where Detectives Young and Gianvito are employed. And I was asking them to give this HEIC image, the high efficiency image container. That's the original photograph from, oh wow, this is the jail. Huh. Isn't it? And so we right now is this sheriff's office. Dude, I was asking for the HEIC photo, the original photo from Detective Gianvito's phone. They would not give it, even though they lost, and they were ordered to provide that. So that was back in October 28th, 2024, the District Attorney's Office, and by that, the Emergency Services Unit was ordered to give me this image. They are stonewalling, they refused to, and then when I called to speak to Detective Young and say, hey man, give it to me, he was a dick on the phone. I hope you see this, Detective Young. Don't be a dick, because then you get subpoenaed and you're going to get dragged into court. At least I hope. We don't know. Judge Reagan has not yet ruled today. We just had the hearing, and yeah, that's the jail. Look, we have the sheriffs driving around. So he didn't rule, but it was cool, I have to say. It feels like it was my best day in court. I guess we'll know when we see the outcome. What happened was this guy, Nathan Morgan, who is the county solicitor, nice enough guy, seemed a little nervous to me. This mass meeting was held on December 27th, 1860 to protest against removing war munitions from the Allegheny Arsenal to the south. The order was countermanded by President James Buchanan, and this thing was erected. I don't understand why they have that here. But Nathan Morgan, he sent me an email the other day. I don't think this was too smart, Nathan. No offense, but sent me an email and he said, oh, why don't you withdraw this subpoena? I was like, dude, it was like, you know, $45 just to get the paper. Then I had to mail it. That was like 30 bucks. Plus I want the information. I didn't tell him all that, but like, why would I voluntarily, I went to all this trouble. I printed it on a printer, right? So I spent a lot of time. I scanned the subpoena and got it all, printed that out and got it all aligned so that when I would run it through the printer and print on the official page, it would be perfectly aligned with all the tiny little lines and everything. I wanted it to be, not sloppily handwritten. This is Grant's Hill, right? On this hill, the British under Major James Grant were defeated by the French and Indians from Fort, somebody's going to know how to pronounce that, but this is erected Pittsburgh chapter, the Daughters of the American Revolution. A lot of historic stuff around Pittsburgh. I'm a little sad that Pittsburgh and really the surrounding areas, I was staying in a suburb, I don't even know the name of it, but I guess this is my fault because when I'm looking for the cheapest hotels around, I'm obviously not staying in the nicest neighborhoods, but I don't know, Pittsburgh, it needs to be revitalized, I think. So anyway, our buddy Nathan, he sent me this email saying, hey, voluntarily withdraw your subpoena. And I said, well, okay, fine, send me the HEIC photo and I'll do that. And he said, I don't even know what an HEIC photo is, but if you won't withdraw it, then there's nothing to discuss. So lawyers like to be tough in emails, but I thought that was pretty stupid that he would admit that he doesn't know what the HEIC image, or I might have said file. He said he doesn't even know what an HEIC file is. So today I was able to say to the judge, Your Honor, here we see this guy doesn't even know what he's objecting to, so he's just objecting. And also I submitted, so he entered a motion to quash the subpoena, meaning, get it out of here. You can't have whatever it is you're asking for and the cops aren't going to come testify. And so I filed a response in opposition because really the only reason he gave to quash was that he said that their testimony would be irrelevant and they're non-parties to the case. So I said in my response in opposition, it's not up to him to decide if their testimony is relevant or irrelevant. That's up to the judge. And I have a feeling the judge will agree with that. Probably doesn't like it when lawyers think they get to decide stuff that's up to him. So I said that was one problem with his motion to quash. The other problem is he said, well, these guys are non-parties. And I said, I don't know, isn't that the whole point of a subpoena, is to evoke testimony from non-parties and have them talk about whatever, and then the judge decides if it's relevant or not? So he didn't cite any of the rules from the Pennsylvania Rules of Civil Procedure. He didn't have any affidavits or anything. It was just a pretty weak, I think they thought I wasn't going to show up, in which case they probably just would have said, well, all right, your motion to quash is unopposed, so fine, you can have it. But instead, I showed up, and this was interesting. So I got there, 9:30 in the morning, the thing started, and they said, the room was filled, which I was surprised by, because the last time we had a hearing, it was just me and this woman who is the lawyer for the cops who wasn't there today, the medical examiner's office, the county solicitor, that's what it was. That's why this other guy was there. So she's the county solicitor for the Allegheny County Medical Examiner. And these guys are Beaver County. So this guy, I guess, is the county solicitor for Beaver County. And, excuse me, ma'am, is that still the active jail?
No.
Oh, what's in there now? Just offices?
The jail is down on
Second Avenue.
So that's just offices now?
Where?
This historic jail?
Oh yeah, they don't use that for that's the courthouse now.
Okay, thanks. Anyway, so the woman is the county solicitor for Allegheny County, and she's there talking about the medical examiner, but because this was a subpoena issued to the Beaver County, they had a different county solicitor. That was Nathan Morgan. So Nathan, he's in there, and so they're talking in the morning about all these different insurance cases. The room was filled, lots of people. That's different than last time. It was just me and this woman and the court employees last time in a big courtroom, and just Judge Reagan and the clerks running it. Yeah, see, this is the cheap parking lot. I think I made a mistake, and because I was here a little bit, I was worried about getting in there on time. I think I might get dinged with expensive parking. So I'm sitting there like, oh wow, when am I going to go on? And they're talking about all kinds of insurance. And so 3 or 4 cases in, they call Goodman versus Allegheny County Medical Examiner, and I go up there, and Nathan Morgan gets up, and he says, well, you know, these guys are non-parties, and their testimony is going to be irrelevant. And they say, hang on a second, we've got a court reporter coming, and we want to stop this and wait for the court reporter. So the judge says to me, Mr. Goodman, is that all right with you? And I said, sure. I mean, I don't want to disagree with the guy. He's the judge. And also, it seems to me that the judge is interested in this. Keep in mind, judges are people, right? So if he's sitting around listening to insurance cases all day, and I'm talking about the cops and the medical examiner falsifying evidence, that's got to be at least a little bit interesting to him, no? I think. Here's the Cosmetology Academy, so beauty school dropout. It's a weird city here, Pittsburgh. I mean, it's an old school city, right? There's something about it I like, but I mean, look, New York is crappy as hell too, so who am I to talk? But, so they said, do you want to wait for the court reporter? I said, sure. So then I was on ice for a little while, waiting. Court reporter came in. See, I figured the judge wanted that because he thinks this is important. Right? Seems like maybe. Didn't care about having a court reporter for the insurance cases. Anyway, so then we get back up there. Nathan Morgan gives his whole presentation about how they're non-parties and their testimony is going to be irrelevant. And then he says, well, Mr. Goodman, what do you have to say? And I said, well, I think it's up to you, Your Honor, to decide if the testimony is relevant. And I asked if I could introduce a document from Goodman versus the Beaver County District Attorney, and he made me show it to Nathan Morgan. Nathan Morgan read it and said he doesn't object to the document, so I gave it to the judge, and the judge was reading it, and this was basically the final determination from the Office of Open Records saying that you have to give Jason the photographs from the detective's phone. Because I was trying to attack this argument that it's not relevant for them to give testimony, because I think it is relevant. And we'll see if the judge agrees. But I said, look, and then Nathan Morgan argued that, well, that's a separate case. He could go, you know, get the Beaver County Court to, or the Butler, whatever, yeah, Beaver County Court of Common Pleas to enforce that judgment from the Office of Open Records. So, I mean, again, this guy is like a stonewalling, procedural, time-wasting, you know, county government guy. No offense, Nathan, that's what you are. He just figures, let's see if we can have a hearing on this and get Jason to not show up, blah, blah, blah. But I mean, I was in there, the hard-charging pro se. Oh yeah, and also in the jury box, the judge made an announcement, because one of the insurance cases, one attorney said in his brief that the other attorney's pleading was so lacking in candor that the court shouldn't even entertain it. And the judge got pissed because he was like, hey, never met you before, guy writing this rude document, but this guy I've known for X number of years. And also the guy who was being accused of lack of candor said that his father had been a judge and he takes his candor with the court very seriously. So he was pissed off that the guy accused him of lying. And the judge gave the guy a whole speech about how you're accusing this dude of lying. And this is an important, what did he say? He said it's not so much the procedural or, you know, evidentiary aspects of the case, but it's an important professional matter because we have all these law students here today. And that he just yelled at the guy and said, you better be pretty careful accusing an attorney of lying. Huh, is this the same Frick from New York? I bet you it is. The Frick building. See, that's the thing, like this is all titans of industry when steel was the deal. And this is what's happening to San Francisco now, right? Was the tech giants, and now the thing is basically in the toilet. But, so he got yelled at. That guy got, not yelled at. I mean, again, Judge Reagan is very polite, unlike other judges I've seen. But he kind of gave the guy a well-deserved dressing down, saying, you know, don't accuse people of lying, you better be pretty sure if you're going to do that. I'm not really sure where my car is parked. Sorry, dude. Creating all kinds of problems crossing the street in Pittsburgh. Don't really know the temperament of the drivers and the traffic and all that. But my point is, all those law students were there, and the courtroom was all filled with all kinds of people. And I don't know, my case was the closest to like a Perry Mason kind of thing, because I'm talking about the Butler, Pennsylvania assassination attempt, and it does seem like people around here in PA are a little bit more Trumpy than, you know, New York or maybe some other stupid states you could go to. And so I think the judge is interested in this case. We don't know how he's going to rule. That'll be on the docket, I guess. But, you know, I was trying to say I think it's very relevant because I also presented photographs from the autopsy report. Remember, Ken Silva pointed out that Clay Higgins had included segments from the autopsy report. So I said, look, I don't know if Congress is considered the public. They certainly represent the public, and they've given this autopsy report to Congress, so why are they saying they won't release it to me? It seems to contradict their argument for not wanting to release it to me. And by the way, here's a picture from the autopsy report that crops out the guy's ear. And it's the same ear that I'm alleging they manipulated the evidence on. So give us the picture of the damn ear. And it's going to be up to Judge Reagan. So, by the way, even if the judge rules in my favor, I expect what will happen next is that the cops will just show up and say, oh, we deleted that photo. We don't have it. And then we won't get it. And we will see nothing. And that will be annoying. But that, I mean, I don't really think they're going to walk in there and be like, oh, yeah, we're guilty of manipulating evidence. Here it is. I can't imagine they're going to do that. But look, this is just about trying to prove what went on. Seems cleaner than Philadelphia. Yeah, maybe. I mean, look, I don't mean to crack on Pittsburgh. I went to this Mexican restaurant for dinner last night. It was so damn salty, I couldn't deal with it. I need to use my Ford app here to find my car. I think it's parked over there. Forbes, it's right around here somewhere. But that's basically it. Good day in court, I think. We'll see what the outcome is. And then we'll know. No, I don't want Waze. I want some walking map. Grant Street, Forbes. It's over here. Oh, there it is. That's the parking garage over there. Okay. Anyway, that's the deal, folks. Goodman versus the Allegheny County Medical Examiner's office marches on. Please help support this counter lawfare effort. Become a sponsor. Go to subscribestar.com or patreon.com/crowdsourcethetruth. Sponsor the show. It's been a lot of travel lately and, you know, just attrition of sponsorship. So if you support what I'm doing, costs money to come here, costs money to file all this stuff, get these subpoenas, mail them to the cops. I got to come back next week for the trial. And it's open to the public, so if people want to come to the trial, you can come here to the Allegheny County, you know, the Pittsburgh courthouse and check it out. You can also sponsor the show on crowdsourcethetruth.substack.com. Unfortunately, Odyssey, I don't know what's going on with their payment system. There's still a lot of people who were legacy sponsors who can access the sponsor exclusive content. Thank you for doing that. But it's actually starting to hit the bottom line that so many people are on Odyssey and no actual sponsorship is coming from that. I hope Odyssey gets it together pretty soon. People can also become subscribers on X at JG_CSTT. Thanks to everyone who has been sponsoring the show. I couldn't do any of this stuff without the sponsors. I'm not selling my pillows. A lot of people have been emailing me that Mike Lindell is in court and admitting that he's an idiot, which I knew a long time ago. I'm not trying to say I told you so, Mike, but I tried to tell you so. Anyway, thanks for tuning in, everybody. Have a great day. Got to try to get back to New York for Charles.